From being Taylor Swift's bestie to getting completely dragged online in record time, Ice Spice's collapse might be the most brutal we've witnessed in modern rap. But this ain't your typical artist loses fans story. This is about how hip-hop's chosen one went from owning everything to losing it all in real time. 25 million monthly streams disappeared. A debut project that moved barely 28,000 units. And now, insider sources are spilling tea that's gonna shake everything you believed about the Bronx sensation. Fake, calculated, disloyal, manipulative, and completely untrustworthy. But before we dive into this messy downfall, let's break down how Ice even conquered the industry initially. Because this gets absolutely insane. It was 2022 when this girl with the orange curls and that unique delivery was supposedly about to revolutionize everything. At least that's the narrative they sold us. Let's keep it 100 though. Ice Spice's whole ascent was no coincidence. Every single step was strategically planned. Every viral clip was manufactured. From that initial Munch video to her perfectly crafted public image, the powers behind her understood exactly what moves to make. But here's where it gets spicy. When Drake started hitting her up, it looked like Ice Spice was absolutely unstoppable. Endorsements from Nicki Minaj, that Taylor Swift collaboration, even landing on the Barbie movie soundtrack. She literally had everything. So what the hell happened? Look, there's something everyone's avoiding when it comes to Ice Spice's destruction. Something that runs way deeper than just declining numbers or failed releases. It's about being real, industry manipulation, and what goes down when your carefully built facade starts falling apart. Today, we're exposing exactly how we reached this point. Because believe me, this goes beyond just music. This is about what happens when you blow up too quick and lose sight of your authentic self. You know that vibe when something seems suspiciously perfect? That was Ice Spice's whole come-up story. Let me break it down for you. August 2022 hits. This video drops on World Star Hip Hop. Within hours, everybody's repeating, "You thought I was you?" The timing was flawless. Maybe suspiciously flawless. See, while everyone was vibing to that catchy hook and those viral dance moves, something major was happening backstage. The industry machinery was operating at maximum capacity. 10K Projects and Capitol Records didn't just spot a rapper with promise. They identified a marketable product they could push. And push, they absolutely did. But here's what most people are missing. Ice Spice wasn't just some random artist who got lucky on TikTok. She was the absolute perfect combination of marketing strategy, perfect timing, and manufactured image. Those curls, that New York attitude, the meticulously designed persona. Everything was completely intentional. And let me tell you something, in today's music business, that's precisely how this game operates. Listen, we're existing in an era where viral moments aren't just helpful. They're the entire blueprint. The industry has cracked the code. Grab an attractive face, throw in a memorable hook, add some meme-worthy content, and watch those metrics explode. But here's what made Ice Spice unique. Because usually behind every overnight sensation, there's typically years of hard work and grinding. But Ice? She had something totally different. Industry connections. Remember Riot, her primary producer? Yeah, turns out he's the son of Hot 97's DJ Enough. Now, I'm not claiming that's the only reason she exploded, but in this business, let's just say it definitely didn't hurt her chances. When Drake gave her that cosign in late 2022, it seemed like some fairy tale moment. But in reality, it was just another perfectly calculated move in this massive game of industry chess. And trust me, the real power players were just warming up. By 2023, Ice Spice was literally everywhere. Working with Nicki Minaj, chilling with Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl, even scoring her own Dunkin' Donuts collaboration. But here's what everyone overlooked. Success in today's streaming world is completely different. It's not about longevity. It's about creating viral moments. Now, let's discuss these numbers real quick. At her absolute peak, Ice was pulling over 40 million monthly Spotify streams. That's more than artists who've been grinding for literal decades. But here's the reality about streaming metrics. They can vanish just as quickly as they appeared. And that's exactly what began happening. See, there's this unspoken law in hip-hop culture. Eventually, you've got to prove you're more than just internet hype. That's where the album becomes crucial. Y2K was supposed to be Ice Spice's defining moment, to shut down all the haters and prove her staying power. Instead, it moved 28,000 copies in week 1. Now, for certain artists, that might be considered successful. But for someone who was literally on top of the world, that's when people started questioning everything. Real questions like, was Ice Spice actually that talented? Or was she just the result of perfect marketing strategy? This is where everything gets messy. Because while Ice Spice was living her absolute best life in the spotlight, behind the scenes, trouble was brewing. And it all began with a tour invitation that would expose the real truth. When Ice brought fellow rapper Cleotrapa on tour, it appeared like a classic industry success story. One artist supporting another, right? Completely wrong. What went down next revealed everything toxic about today's music industry. But here's what makes this situation different from typical industry drama. There was actual proof. Real evidence. Picture getting invited on tour with just one day's notice, being promised everything would be handled, then getting treated like you're completely worthless. No dressing room access, no meal budget, having to handle your own luggage while security just watches. But it gets way worse. While Cleotrapa was struggling just to get basic food on tour, somebody charged $700 worth of designer items to her credit card. Now, I'm not saying Ice Spice directly knew about this, but when you're the headliner, everything happening on your tour becomes your responsibility. But that Cleotrapa situation was just the start. Remember that whole situation with Central C? The one that had everyone convinced they were actually dating? Well, turns out it was completely fabricated. A PR stunt for their collaboration song. Now, PR relationships aren't anything new in hip-hop, but exploiting someone's genuine emotions for promotional purposes. That was absolutely diabolical. That's when fans started seeing through the illusion. And then those leaked messages surfaced. We absolutely need to discuss these because they changed everything completely. Ice Spice's former friend, Baby Stormy, dropped explosive revelations that shocked the industry. Messages showing Ice calling Nicki Minaj ungrateful and delusional. The exact same Nicki who helped elevate her with Princess Diana and Barbie World collaborations. Let's put this in proper perspective. In today's streaming era, your public reputation isn't just part of your success. It literally is your success. When that image starts cracking, everything else crumbles with it. Check out these numbers. From 40 million monthly listeners down to barely 15 million in under a year. That's not just a decline. That's a complete freefall. But here's what's really wild. Even Ice Spice's viral content wasn't hitting like before. Remember when every Ice Spice video would automatically rack up millions of views? Now the magic had completely disappeared. But why though? Well, let's discuss the actual music. When your biggest talking point is lyrics about being poopy, like I need a diaper, you might have a serious problem. Now, when Complex asked about being called an industry plant, she claimed to be a marketing genius. And you know what? Maybe she was absolutely right, just not in the way she intended. Because her career has become a perfect example of what happens when marketing completely outpaces actual talent. See, Here's the thing about viral fame in 2025. It's like constructing a house of cards during a hurricane. Sure, it might look impressive momentarily, but without solid foundation, it's all collapsing. Let's put this in perspective. Artists like Doja Cat and Megan Thee Stallion, they survived their viral moments because they had substantial talent to back it up. But Ice Spice? The formula never grew. 10 tracks, 23 minutes total. That's all we received from her debut album. And half those tracks we'd already heard before, and the other half sounded practically identical. It's like serving reheated leftovers at a five-star restaurant and expecting nobody to notice. But this isn't only about Ice Spice. This is about an industry that's become too skilled at manufacturing viral moments and too terrible at actually developing real artists. We're living in times where going viral is the end game, not the starting point. Look at these metrics. Her Instagram engagement stays high, but her music numbers are in complete freefall. That's not an artist issue. That's an influencer issue. And in 2025, that's an extremely dangerous position to be in. Because here's what nobody wants to acknowledge. The industry is running out of places to hide mediocrity. When you can't depend on auto-tune and live performances, when every backstage moment can get exposed, when your own friends are ready to leak your private messages, what's actually left? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Can Ice Spice recover from this? Or is this just another example of the industry moving too fast for its own good?